y'all, Donnie Keith here, aka Auntie Peaches from the Aunties Radio Show, also on The Voice of Reason. I'm here to say that ever since my man started taking A game, he's been on top of his A game.
What?
When I say A game, I mean his A game. He's more focused. He's definitely working out more. His attitude is better. And he's not complaining of all over body aches due to poor blood circulation, because A-game provides great blood circulation, if you know what I mean, ladies. That blood circulation. Sometimes I have to hide the A-game in the bushes when I'm out walking the dog just because I want some sleep, if you know what I mean, ladies. Stay on top of your A-game, fellas. Get your A-game.
Hey all my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel, where we embrace our femininity, increase our womanly values, and celebrate our brothers. So join me on our feminine journey to learn, heal, and grow. Hello everyone. You're gonna need this. Please go get one of these. It's gonna be that show. We're connecting dots. We're drawing lines. We're gonna go back to the young lady's video. And we're going to connect a few dots. We're gonna dissect what she's actually talking about. And we're going to just really talk about this next lie of feminism that said it was for black women. We're going to talk about what they really mean when they say it's empowering. Now, a lot of y'all probably thought it empowers what? It empowers women how? How exactly? Oh, we're going to see. We're going to see today. It's me, see. Chicago playing games right now. Do y'all understand that it is warm outside? Listen, let me tell y'all something about Chicago. Let me tell y'all something about Chicago. It is 60 degrees outside. 60 degrees. It's warm outside. This is our first fall spring. This is fall spring. Okay? Now this is the weather you'll get sick. You mess around and get sick. Okay? We're gonna be in pollen season. Your allergies are gonna go up. The air quality is bad in the Midwest. Okay, the air quality is bad in the Midwest because we are the Midwest. I don't know if people really understand the environment, the natural environment of the Midwest, but it's a lowland. The Midwest is a lowland prairie. It's a lowland prairie. So it's not a lowland swamp. It's not that damp. It's not that hot. But that prairie land is humid because the lake is right there. So we have high humidity, but being in that prairie land, it's a lot of allergy. It's a lot of allergens. It's a lot of stuff to get you triggered. The air quality is bad. It's bad. If you got a lot of allergies, please don't live in the Midwest. You need to be somewhere in an arid, dry climate. If you got a lot of allergies, you don't want to be here. You don't want to be in the Midwest at all. Well, see, Shanette came in here to brag about LA weather. And that triggers me. That triggers me. Because I feel a little bit of braggariciousness from the LA weather. You understand? Because, see, y'all don't have false springs and false winters and 2-3 of them back to back. See, this is a lie right now. See, I need y'all to understand that this is a bald head lie. This 60 degrees right here that's going on in Chicago, that's a bald head lie right there. That is a bald head lie. We'll have a blizzard next week. Do you understand what I'm talking about? And y'all just, and then Miss KP Bailey just going to say, we chilling in Cali, rub it in. You see what I'm saying? See how you just rub it in? Just rub it in our face. Oh, Miss Neutral speaks. I'm not playing. We will have a blizzard. It has been a blizzard in April. It has been freezing rain in June. I'm not playing. See the cold coming in here with the braggariciousness. You see how y'all do me? See how y'all do me? Well, see, y'all on the East Coast, y'all get all of that crazy weather too. These are the more temperate zone. That temperate zone. I'm just messing with y'all. I do want to move to somewhere where there's some dry heat at, though. I'm so tired of winter times, I don't know what to do. Y'all really don't understand how tired an old woman is of winter time. I see now why old folk go to the South. I understand why they go to the South. Thank you, Miss Lou Casey, for kicking it off. Now I understand why you go to the South. Because I'm old and I want to go where it's warm. Yeah. I want to go to Nevada or Arizona. I do. You know, I didn't like Phoenix. I love the weather though. That weather, oh my God. Do you understand? That I went out there, it was winter time in Chicago, but it wasn't winter time in Arizona. I'll tell you that much. Yes, Latif, the hawk is in Chicago. Let me stop, because I'll get the yippee gapping. Let me get right down to it. We are going to dig into this, because I done yippee gap too long. Anyway, let me share the screen. I done got to talking to y'all.
Coined the concept of the patriarchy of the wage, which is the idea that under capitalism, wage
She's talking about, okay, I'm rewinding it a little bit so that we can be refreshed on the fact that the young lady brought up capitalism in a talk about femininity and gender roles, okay? Now, you would wonder, how do we get to capitalism from a subject matter that does not seem to have anything to do with the economy or how an economy is built? I'm going to let her speak a little bit, and she's going to talk about Sylvia Federici, who is a feminist and a Marxist, okay? She mentions this, and then I'm going to fast forward.
Has less to do with the nature of women and more to do with the nature of capitalism.
So less to do with the nature of women, no biology, more to do with capitalism, the environment. I need y'all to make note of the fact that consistently the biological factor will be left out in all of these so-called theories. So now that we rewound just a little bit to to her opening up the conversation and going into capitalism and mentioning the feminist Marxist Sylvia Federici, we're going to fast forward a little bit to the 13-minute mark.
You grow food, you grow enough for the market, but you also grow enough for your family. It's what you eat. So that agricultural labor, that subsistence agriculture, is production and reproduction at the same time. You don't have the separation. But with capitalism, that changes drastically. You begin to see a bifurcation. The two activities, production and reproduction, begin to separate in all kinds of ways. Production for the market becomes a male job, and it's a wage job. It's a job that is actually socially recognized as work, as producing wealth. Whereas more and more reproductive work, raising of children, procreation, domestic work, care for the elderly, that becomes women's work. So reproduction becomes feminized and also at the same time completely devalued. It's not recognized as work. It's not given a wage, it's not paid, and increasingly it becomes so invisible as work that it's naturalized. It's considered women's labor, with the idea that somehow it's something that women do because they are women. It's not socially or historically defined as work. So this separation is very important. It's part of the reason why in capitalism you have a gender hierarchy. Men have power over women through the wage. Through the wage, men control women's reproductive labor in the family. Through the wage, the state delegates to the men the power to control women's work, to make sure they perform. And that's why domestic violence has always been tolerated. It's understood that it's okay to slap your wife if she doesn't cook or keep the house clean. It's a part of the discipline. So there's a whole...
Now we're going to stop her right there. We're going to stop her right there. We're going to stop the young lady right there. Po baby. She getting indoctrinated. She don't know it. Po baby she in a dorm room right now. Do you want to know why capitalism was brought into this conversation? Do you want to know why? Because we're going to connect some dots today. Do you want to know why capitalism of all... Thank you, Too Tall, as a matter of fact. My apologies. That's correct. From Cleveland, living now in Alabama. Yeah. Hey, DOD. How you doing? Thank you, D-Nice. And anyone else notice how a lot of these young black women talk with all the inflections, phrases, and tones of overtures of white women? Want to know why capitalism? Okay. What she just got through reading and quoting from Sylvia Federici and from her textbooks, this is all a conglomeration. This is Marxist feminism, which is a little bit redundant considering the fact that feminism is Marxist. It comes from Marxism. Okay? Do we all understand what Marxism even is? Generally speaking, the terms Marxism, socialism, and communism in layman's terms is typically used interchangeably. Although the reality is that it's supposed to build on one another. So socialism and communism comes from Marxist theory. You read about Marxist theory from Karl Marx and Frederick Engels in their book, The Communist Manifesto, written in 1848. Okay? If you want to read the original work. Thank you, Torian. Hey, say, hey, Kendra, I have a video coming tomorrow called The Mammy Diaries, and I definitely want your input on it, and sure your audience will love it or vomit. You do a little bit of both. You do a little bit of both. Okay? So in terms of Marxism, in a nutshell, without all of the nuances and going in depth, in a nutshell, the Marxist, let me just put it like this. If you want to summarize it, Marxism is essentially an socio-economic system that claims that the unequal distribution of wealth creates strife between the classes, and that this has always and only been the reason for historical clashes throughout the history of mankind. That there is a class difference, and this difference is basically to be broken down into two main classes: the bourgeoisie and the proletariat. The bourgeoisie, especially if we take it in what Marxist theory was really heavily critiquing, was capitalism. So if we take it there, and we look at it from a capitalist point of view, the bourgeoisie are the minority that owns production, the means of production. The proletariat are the working masses, right? Is the working masses. And the strife between them, where the bourgeoisie class has more money and has ownership of the production, will cause a social revolution where the proletariat class must then fight against the bourgeoisie class. And this revolution is to happen in stages. The first stage is socialism. After socialism is achieved, then there comes communism, which is a higher form of that. Do we understand so far? That's the gist of Marxist theory. That's just the gist. And I need y'all to understand that very critical gist. Because what the young lady just espoused was quote unquote Marxist feminism. Thank you, Hostile Adept. How you doing, sweetheart? Love you, big brother. It's been so long. I hope all is well with you and your family. So I need y'all to understand the concepts between the bourgeoisie class and the proletariat class. The proletariat is the working class and always basically the underdog, if we want to put it in even more layman's terms. Okay, this is the poor working class. The bourgeoisie would be the upper, 1% and 2% of the society. Now, when we put this, because before I say that, there's a social revolution because the proletariat class sees themselves as under economic enslavement of the bourgeoisie class. Under an economic enslavement, right? When we think about this from the perspective of feminism, this is why they fight against gender roles and traditional feminine gender roles like submission and all of this type of stuff is likened to enslavement. Aha. Thank you, Counselor Murray. It is likened to enslavement. The women see themselves as the proletariat class, and they see men as the bourgeoisie class. And that capitalism economically oppresses them. It is used vehicle to oppress them through capitalism. I need y'all to stay with me here. Thank you, Ismail. I need 200 likes. This is one reason why no matter how many times you debunk the wage gap myth, it maintains itself as a key central talking point of feminism that's supposed to illustrate the evil of the patriarchy in action. So when we talk about the framing of feminism in the basic tenets of Marxism, the first class oppression didn't happen in capitalism between the bourgeoisie and the proletariat. It happened between the male to the female. Monogamous marriage was seen as a vehicle to further oppress women through controlling reproduction and quote unquote introducing division of labor. The production of children was meant to the proletariat class needed to produce children to serve the bourgeoisie class, and this is how capitalism works. So reproductive labor, which is what she was just talking about, that's why she said what she said, became devalued because it wasn't a paid wage job. She even introduced DV into the conversation. This is why always submission is the concept of female submission to male authority on a biological sense is always likened to slavery, right? And abuse, because enslavement and abuse go together. So if the men work is paid and the female work is not paid, the men automatically have, quote unquote, more power and then can therefore regulate his wife's reproduction. Her work, that reproductive work, is not valued. Supposedly, this is what created the antagonism between men and women. And it's according to Marxist feminism, this supposedly started culturally and was solidified institutionally, i.e., the environment. What did I leave out? For those of you who have been listening to me long enough, we covered two things, but there's a third thing. What's not mentioned here? What didn't I mention? All that word salad. Thank you. Thank you, Ruminant. Always be on it. Thank you, C. Didn't mention biology. Is that an accident? I need at least 200 likes. Is that an accident? what we will notice as we continue on into this video is that the biology is consistently left out and not mentioned at all as having any bearing on the development of culture or environment. Ain't it cute? Ain't it just, ain't it cute? Ain't it cute how they do certain things? Because we're going to get to where the biology went. Because just because they left it out doesn't mean it doesn't have the sway. We're going to talk about where this biology part went. Because see, Marx and Engels conveniently left out biological factors to make the theory, quote unquote, make sense. But how do you remove the biological factors from human beings throughout history and pin every and any and all conflicts between humans down to the haves and the have-nots? How do you do that? Why do you do that? Why do you do that? Why? Why do you leave out the biology? We're going to take a commercial break, and then we're going to come back to cook that topic. Be right back.
Okay, we're downloading A-Game's formula.
3, 2, 1.
Y'all got to get up on that A game now. You know, Iron Man, aka wasn't up there dancing for nothing. See what I'm saying? See, me and It's Me C know who in that suit though. So you need that energy, right? With what's going on out here, you need that energy. We know who up in the suit though. You know, it's gotta keep the identity hidden. You see what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Gotta keep it hidden, you know. But when you download that A game though, motor just run. See, know how you gonna come here and laugh. See, what I want to really get to y'all is that feminism at its roots is a flawed and a dangerous ideology that has its beginnings in Marxism and other revolutionary type thinking. Thank you, Bathing Soul. See, if the fruit is bad, the tree is what? If the fruit is bad that grow off the tree is what? Because I don't know a good tree that bear rotten fruit all the time. So we're not going to have feminism, as destructive as it is, coming from an awesome, fruitful, wonderful tree. Need y'all to understand that. Thank you, Noreen. Because you don't get this kind of rotten fruit from a good tree. You just don't. Getting back to it. Thank you, The Zone. To make the theories make sense, Marx had to leave out the biological piece. That is where the major flaw is, because that's where the lie is. We're going to talk about Abraham Flexner and the Flexner Report that defined modern medicine in the United States and Canada in a minute. But to pin every human conflict on money or the lack thereof, it ignores the biological piece. Feminists love money. So do Marxists. See, all of that was about the wealth is not that no one should have wealth, but that everybody should have it. Whether I'm qualified for it or not. Because the flaw in the thinking, and I'm going down a little bit of a rabbit hole, the flaw in the thinking here is that just because you're part of the working class, you're working just as well or just as efficiently as everybody else in the working class, and you're not. Because there are some people that excel and other people that don't, even in low wage jobs such as customer service. And I don't want the lazy customer service rep eating off of me when I do all the work and she sit there and take 50 breaks and not really answer the phone call. She already riding and she getting the same wage I'm getting for less work. That's enough. Anyway. Money and wealth is held to extreme importance. For the convenience of the Marxist feminists, which I really hate, it's so redundant to me. They have to say that women's work, quote unquote, should neither be gendered nor devalued by not putting a dollar amount or a dollar wage to it. This actually further removes all biological understanding of how human beings interdepend upon one another, because she's talking about how, quote unquote, women's work was devalued. Devalued by who? Because I guarantee you that the men valued it. They valued it then, they value it now. So it's devalued by whom? because there's no dollar amount to it, there's no value to it. What system is that? What's the system that we know about where nothing has value until wealth is put to it? What it escapes me. Y'all, what system we know about? The lost value system. Thank you, because it slipped my mind. The lost value system is the system where no internal value is worth anything if it cannot be monetized. Oh. See that internal stuff, what do we call the 5 internal values? We call that feminine. Those are feminine because they're internal. But under the lost value system, they are devalued because no monetary dollar is put to it. And the only time it is valued is when it can be monetized. That is the only time that spirituality has anything, health is anything, family is anything, appearance is anything, dwelling is anything. You'll hear the young lady continually refer to femininity as only appearance doesn't have any value because women don't get paid. Which is capped because women get paid to look good all the time. But in any case, I need 300 likes. I didn't do your like dance. So bam, 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 bam. You gotta hit the like button. Bam, bam. You gotta Because the reason why I'm saying it removed the biological piece again is because there's no concept in feminism of interdependency. That non-paid work is still valuable because of what it brings intangibly to the relationship between people. That's why they don't like the table question. I want y'all to connect dots. That's why they don't like the table question. Because you want me to say that I bring femininity to the table, that I bring reproduction to the table, that I bring my beauty to the table, that I bring my insight to the table, that I bring my submission to the table, those are the answers to the question. But in Marxist feminism, which is what feminism is and why black women took to it so hard, none of that has any value because it doesn't get paid. And this is why they want a high value man so that they don't pay any significant bills and they can sit around because they don't want to work, but they also don't want to do women's work. They need the high value man to pay her for that work. I can't deal with a man that ain't got 6 figures. She deal with men that don't have 6 figures every day. Okay? That's why when you talk about submission, black women talk about what? When black men come to them and talk about feminine qualities in a relationship, what's the first thing she say? That black men don't have, which is why she can't submit. What do she say? What'd she say? Money. I can't get into my feminine energy without money. That's why my feminine energy is conditional on money. I can't even talk to a guy that ain't got a certain amount of money. Please give me 300 likes. So this is where the empowerment thing comes in, because Black feminists have to declare independence as a form of social revolution, because she's a Marxist. And the very traditional role of men and women in a relationship and in a marriage is akin to capitalistic oppression. That's why they don't let no man handle no money. I'm gonna try to look for something real quick. I really want to look for something real quick.
Once a woman gives up
I want y'all to
financial
listen to
independence, once a woman...
Please pause when I want you to pause. Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you once again, Norrin. I want y'all to listen to Miss Judge Judy for a minute. Miss Judge Judy, we gonna listen to her for a minute. We're gonna listen to her. For 23 seconds, we gonna listen.
Once a woman gives up financial independence to a mate, it's over. You have to be prepared, because if you're not prepared, then you're stuck. And more women have to accept lifestyles that are unpleasant because they are financially stuck.
Just 23 real quick seconds. Did y'all catch that tea? Did y'all catch that tea? What's she talking about? The man is the bourgeoisie class. She's the proletariat class. She can't allow him to have financial power, because that oppresses her. She'll have to live lifestyles that are unpleasant. Says who? Unpleasant how? In what way? Enslavement and abuse go together. Getting back to Black women. Gotta revolt against men. Gotta claim their independence as a form of social revolt from their own men, since even Black men supposedly are part of the capitalistic / patriarchal oppression of women through work and wage. This is why it's so prominent for them to say that they get more money than you. And this is why they're saying the words that they're saying to you. I hope that this stuff is starting to make sense, because we're going to get to the biological piece in just a second. They also wrote a book, because see, Communist Manifesto was not the only book that either Marx or Engels wrote. They wrote a book in 1884 called The Origin of the Family, Private Property, and the State, which basically saying that after studying ancient and contemporary cultures and civilizations, thank you, Mal Nevison, as it concerned family structure, social hierarchy, and wealth, women had a higher status and equal consideration in labor. Please listen. Then it says only women were sure to share a family name, and the earliest men did not share family name. Now, this is another way to remove the biological component from the interaction between men and women. Thank you, Kendra. I'm calling cap on it. Lineage is important to men biologically before culture and environment play a role. Think gene pool. Also, if women carry the family name, then everybody did, because women were children at one point and they were the children of their fathers. So they would have carried the name like the boys. Then he talks about ancient societies where the women were not oppressed. Those would be our ancient societies, our ancestors. That would be them. Living under a righteous value system that we call the 10 life values, and a woman wouldn't be oppressed under that. Shouldn't suggest that she didn't have any defined role or expectation within her society. Let's go back to the first lie. What was the first lie that I said was the first lie of feminism? That gender didn't have anything to do with biology. Thank you, Red Stick. Everything has something to do with biology, because biology drives culture and environment. See, thank you, Red Stick, and thank you, Latifia. See, I was gonna actually touch on that, but I need to touch on this biological piece though first, because I was gonna touch on pre and post Islam to demonstrate 14 centuries ago and before. I know some people don't like my spiritual leanings. Some people got a lot to say about the fact that I'm black and Muslim. What you think Bedouins are? And Arabians are melanated. They always have been. But anyway, even prior to that, our civilizations in the various parts of Africa also lived under a righteous value system. We brought it to them. But let me digress a little bit. What happened to... We're going to go a little bit over time, because I have a video to show you on the Flexner Report. Put a 1 in the chat if you ever heard of that. It's okay if you didn't. Put a 1 in the chat if you ever heard of Abraham Flexner or the Flexner Report. Put a 2 if you never have. It's okay if you haven't. It's okay if you haven't. But we gonna talk about it, because we need to talk about it. Real quick video, about 5 minutes. That's why I say we're gonna go over time, because I need y'all to hear this. Now, it's a real, this is just Flexner. There were a few critiques on it, but overall, this is a wonderful report. That's what you're gonna hear, and then I'm gonna tell you the real part of that.
Hi and welcome to the Global Education Group's CME video blog, where we address emerging hot topics in the CME enterprise. I'm Stephen Lewis, and today we're going to talk about the 100th anniversary of the Flexner Report, a really influential report in medical education that's really affected undergraduate medical education in America and in Canada for the past 100 years. I'm going to talk a little bit about the history of the report, as well as an upcoming conference that's co-sponsored by the American Medical Association, as well as the Association of American Medical Colleges, to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the report. So first, a little bit about the history of the report. It was a study of undergraduate medical education conducted in 1910, and it was commissioned by the AMA, its Committee on Medical Education, and it was funded via the Carnegie Foundation. The report is named after its author, an educator named Abraham Flexner, and again, it's had a huge impact on the American medical profession as well as undergraduate medical.
I don't want y'all to go to sleep. Don't go to sleep. This is how they bypass us. See, when we not entertained, we tune out. Don't do it. Listen.
Education. A little bit about the report, and it's had some positive and it's had some negative implications and findings. So back in 1910, the positive results from the report that we still see in practice today. First off, it pushed for med schools to enact higher admission standards and graduation standards. It basically advocated for 4-year medical schools. At the time, there were a lot of 2-year medical schools, and so it basically pushed to get rid of those 2-year medical schools, many of which at the time included no laboratory work whatsoever. It also stated...
I need y'all to pay attention to the fact that he's saying this is a good outcome. That so many medical schools were closed. Mind you, the Flexner Report took place in 1910. So this is the early 1900s. Simultaneously in society, what is going on? Because isn't this really right after Reconstruction? Right.
That medical schools should strictly adhere to the protocols of mainstream science in both teaching and research. Many of the American medical schools fell short of that standard, and as a result, after the report was published, about half of those schools that were falling short actually either merged with other schools or closed their doors.
Did you hear that? They merged with other schools or closed their doors. Thank you, S.A. Osa. They closed black medical schools. Not just medical schools that were quote-unquote underperforming or quote-unquote not meeting the standard. They closed black medical schools because listen, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. How you gonna close black medical schools? Who tended you when you was sick? We sick, boss? Who made you well? Because you was always sick. So who had the remedy when you was sick? Who had that? Who understood holistic medicine to make you well? And then we had our medical schools shut down because we ain't know what we was talking about. It's the audacity for me. It's the caucasity for me. See, I don't need you to tune out. Just because it's not entertaining, just because he's square and he talking in monotone. See, this is how they get us not to understand nothing because we like to be entertained too much. That's why they can get away with everything to get away with. Because if it ain't singing, dancing, and all crazy animated, we don't listen. We don't listen. We'll let that man put us to sleep, or we'll turn it off. 5 minutes, we can't tolerate it. But he is saying something very important. Thank you, Ismail. And I'm going to go back to him to let him finish. Ain't but a couple minutes. We in overtime. Y'all will be all right. Thank you, Red Stick. Said Esau's hatred runs skin deep. For real.
Last, it allowed for regulation of medical schools by states. You can argue for or against the regulation. However, what the result of that was, we did get more uniform standards for medical education, especially in the United States. On the bad side, the report also had some negative findings and implications. It stated that there were too many medical schools in the United States and that too many doctors were being trained.
How is too many?
Given today's crisis in terms of the numbers of primary care physicians especially, perhaps the report was a little bit short-sighted. The report was also brazenly editorial and sometimes sexist and racist. On the editorial side, it described Chicago's medical schools of the day as, quote, a disgrace to the state whose laws permit its existence, indescribably foul, the plague spot of the nation, end quote. On the racist front, it basically advocated that there should be very few black-only and women-only schools, so both racist and sexist. And for the black-only schools, that they should be focused on teaching hygiene in lieu of other medical sciences to the blacks. And so the report has both a section on the medical education of women as well as medical education of Negroes. As it relates to blacks, the report stated that there was work in, quote, educating the race to know and to practice fundamental hygienic principles, and in developing schools to which the more promising of the race can be sent to receive a substantial education in which hygiene, rather than surgery, for example, is strongly accentuated, end quote. The report also led to basically kind of a reversion of American universities to male-only institutions and male-only medical programs. It also led to some segregation, obviously, of medical schools. Kessel and others have argued that the Flexner Report actually decreased the supply of MDs and drove up costs not only for medical school, for those going through
which is the real reason for it.
Medical school, as well as medical costs in general, because the costs trickle down. If you have to pay a lot for medical school, you're going to charge a lot for services. And if there's a shortage of physicians,
and who does that benefit?
Costs can be driven up as well. Well, as AMA and the Association of American Medical Colleges commemorate the 100th anniversary of the Flexner Report.
Commemorate it now, man. See, they celebrate it, right? Right.
Rightfully, they're focused on the future. And a few things to think about as we look toward that future. We need to continue to rely on sound science, evidence-based medicine, evidence-based undergraduate education of medical professionals. We also need to look at ways we can bring physicians closer and in greater connection with not only the healthcare team, but with patients, so that we're helping prepare those in undergraduate medical education, help prepare those future physicians in school today for what they will see in practice tomorrow. As always, if you have any questions,
just wanted you to see that little part right there. It's the audacity. The reason why they call themselves relegating black people to hygiene only is, number one, that is part of the biological lie. Understand that when we have been talking all this live stream about Marxist feminism, and they have pounded on culture and environment, but conveniently leaving out biology. To get a warped culture and warped environment, you have to warp biology. Since you can't actually change biology, what you do is you change the narrative about biology. You put forward false notions about biology. You create these false structures and false information regarding biology. To tell Black people that we are inherently dirty. This was right around germ theory. So we germy. Thank you, Rumen. It said European cities have open waste in their cities for hundreds of years, while Africans have sanitary medical procedures, but we need to get. But thank you, Eugene. Exactly, Father's Time. They seek to control any and all things concerning us, knowing our own biology. They needed to dictate who we are to us. Exactly. That was the point. Thank you once again, Nora. That was the point. Okay, y'all remember Django, right? Do y'all remember the part in Django where Candy was calling himself, had a black skull, the skull of a black adult male. And he called himself, pointing out within the skull how it indicated that it was a bigger part of the brain that made Black people inherently and biologically subservient. Do you remember that part of the movie? Please tell me you remember that. Well, it's that kind of science that the Flexner Report is based upon. They downplay it when they say it has influenced medicine for the past 100+ years of the U.S. in the U.S. and Canada. It didn't influence it. It is it. Everything that is purported now in the medical field is based on that kind of pseudoscience that says Black people are inherently dirty. And that we didn't need to deal in, surgery or real medical practice. We needed to go wash our butts first. The audacity, when it was the Moors that came and showed you what soap was, you didn't know how. That's why. Why do you think France and French cologne and perfume is so popular, and they made it a thing? You know, you ain't really got no perfume. Eau de toilette. You ever read that? Just even if you don't know no French, it literally say on the bottle. It literally say on the bottle. What's a toilet? I don't care how you say it in French. And we was dirty. The natives couldn't be enslaved by you because you was dirty. Because you had all of the diseases. You gave them smallpox. And we were just more resistant because we were clean. And a lot of y'all diseases was bacterial, so you really could wash it. You remember the Black Plague? You remember why that was took off so bad over there? Not where we was. We had ships. We had navies. Especially the African countries that was coastal. We had ships. There was, you can have a rat on a ship. We didn't pop up with the Black Plague, which was bacterial in nature. See, we didn't have that. We were resistant because of our biology. And see, they had to give us stupid stuff like blue eyes is better than brown eyes. But blue eyes, genealogically speaking, is recessive. You're not supposed to. Thank you, Philip J. So another issue is women are more easily influenced. So with our community, it's not hard for Zaddy to convince them of whatever. Mm-hmm. Our ancient civilizations had sewage systems. We created soap. You know it's called African black soap? Because you know what we would do? Because I know how to make soap. So what we would do is it's palm ash. They would burn the palm leaves and the branches to extract the soda ash from them. It's a form of sodium hydroxide, but it's almost a mix between potassium hydroxide and sodium hydroxide, so that the soap is not completely hard, nor is it a liquid. That is the uniqueness of black soap. That's why it's unique, because it is neither super hard nor is it liquid. The reason why is because sodium hydroxide produces hard bar soap. Potassium hydroxide produces liquid soap. If you have palm ash, is what it's called, is the component, the chemical component of both naturally. So when soap is made, when you break it down and then you add that base to an acid, like a animal fat, then you create soap. That's why I like soap, because it's art and chemistry. You create a soap, but black soap is malleable. It isn't a bar, but it's also not a liquid. We was making that. So when I want to make a bar of soap, I have to go and get sodium hydroxide. That will produce, when it is a base. The acid is either the vegetable oil or the rendering of animal fat. When I mix the acid and the base, you come up with NaOH, which is basically a salt. That's soap. We were doing that. So they were trying to tell us we didn't know that they knew it and taught it to us. No, our ancestors knew it and taught it to them. And then they utilized that knowledge to exploit. Changing the narrative. See, when we talk about the Flexner Report, I don't need y'all to think medical, because medical deals in the what? The biology. I don't need y'all to think medicine. I need you to think biology. They were dealing in the biology of people. Because if they could lie about black people's biology, they could lie about gender not being a part of sex and biology. That is why the separation of biology away from culture and environment is the lie. It's the only way any of this foolishness even slightly stands. Once you put the biological component back in there, in truth, when it all falls down, I'm telling you, love, it all falls down. When it all falls down, telling you, love, it all falls down. Like a house of badly stacked cards. Do we understand what we really talking about and what we're really up against? This is why I keep talking about this. Thank you again, Red Stick. This is why I talk about biology, culture, and environment, and how they interact when we want to transform a society and its value system. Thank you, Tutal. We have a bio-cult Iran event. When we don't understand biology, culture, environment, and thus bio-cult Iran, we will never escape the lost value system. We won't. We won't. We won't. This is why we do what we do over here on the Crimson Cure channel. It's not just about relationships and body counts and who can get a man and who ain't got no man. I don't care about that. I don't know people personally. But what I am trying to do, what I do care about, is what we understand. And how we understand the world around us. And how that world has affected us, our ancestors, and if we don't figure it out, our descendants. Why do you... Come on. I'm trying to get you away from the lost value system by telling you why you're there. What got you in there and what pulls you out. That's why I'm not a dating coach. Thank you again, Kendra. That's why I'm not a dating coach. That's why I'm not here to get you a man and all of that other stuff. I'm not here to do that. If you get a man, mashallah, alhamdulillah. Yep. If my words help you better your marriage, mashallah. But we got to understand this stuff. It is imperative. This is why I played that video. I know it was 5 minutes. I know it was boring. But I also know we got to untrain ourselves. We train like monkeys. That if stuff ain't got music and flashing lights, if it ain't like that, we ain't listening and we ain't looking. That's how they can play you over and over. Because see, he whitewashed that whole thing and said some schools were absorbed and some schools were closed without telling you it was black people. I think I'm done. Am I done? Am I done for the day? Did we get something out of this for the day? I hope we did. I hope we got something out of this for the day. Put a 1 in the chat if some dots were connected for you. Yes, Father's Time. All black schools, hundreds of them, closed except 2, and they had to conform. Precisely. I'm going to do an entire video show, whatever, on the Flexner Report. Thank you once again, Miss Lucchese. Said, learn what the current school system is teaching your children. Exactly, because that young lady was sitting in her dorm room. One more interesting thing. Don't you find it interesting? I'm going to leave y'all with this question. Don't y'all find it interesting that in a country that is capitalist in the way in which the economy is set up and driven, actively teach within its institution an ideology that it supposedly hates, which is Marxism? Which we all say is kind of leads to anarchy. And there has been anarchy. There has been anarchy in the home. In the black home. Because for as much Marxist feminism as Sylvia Federici and all of them had, they went home to their husbands. And they didn't have anarchy in their home. But they put people in front of us who were Marxist feminists. They put people in front of black women who were Marxist feminists, which is why I chose the thumbnail that I did. Angela Davis and her big fro and her fist up was a Marxist feminist. And the Black Panther Party didn't survive her. Bell Hooks, Marxist feminist. See, when we see that fist and that fro, we think Black power. We think this Black woman was on it. But then Gloria Steinem had her fist up too. So I'm confused. Was that Black power too? Why she had her fist up? Why? How she get her fist up? How they do that? See, those types of images are powerful to us because these were images taken during the civil rights movement where we were fighting, but they were dividing us, and the women were going for it with their fist up and they big froze and they natural faces. All the while, anarchy in the home. See how they play you culturally? They give you images and stuff like that. And because Black people don't like to read, we don't really know when we're looking at sellouts, when we're looking at mammies, when we're looking at those who would doom our people while wearing the skin of our people and while saying they are pro-Black. Now I understand how a Marxist feminist can say she hate men and be pro-Black at the same time. Because she's not pro-Black man, she's pro-Black woman. Because nowhere in Marxism do the proletariat class unify with the bourgeoisie class. So why would Black women, proletariat, unify with Black men, bourgeoisie? Because that's not how you have a social revolt. That's not how you revolt. That's not how you have anarchy in your home. That would be unity in your home. BLM founders, all Marxists. Black power. And the leader of the Black Lives Matter Boston chapter, along with her husband, are facing jail time for scamming more than $100,000 from the people. Black power. Because y'all knew what time it was anyway. Didn't y'all? Didn't y'all know that it was time for A game? A game. A game. A game time. Time for everybody to get on their A game. And A game is a male herbal solution that helps a man with his vitality, his strength, his energy, and his libido. Yes, the bling bling for the ding ding. Yes, that. Hiding it in the bushes will not help you. Because if he took A game yesterday, you still in trouble today because it lasts 3 days. Okay? So ladies, you want your men on their A game. Men, you are trying to get on your A game. All you gotta do is hit the link at the top of the chat, agameherbal.com, and you get a 10% discount using the code Kendra10. And you get this box of awesomeness delivered to you ASAP. Woo-hoo. I want to thank everybody for their contributions. I want to thank everybody for their time, for their likes, for their attention. Hope you learned something today. And a special thanks to my team who does nothing but support me so that I can come to you even on a 60-degree March Chicago day and give you this knowledge. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this up and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye-bye, Crimson Knights.
Hey guys, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. And if you've got more to say on the topic, leave a comment down below. Also, don't forget to support our sponsor who so graciously supports this channel by clicking the description box and the link for A-Game at agameherbal.com. You can go ahead and get a 10% discount off of your next purchase using the code Kendra10. This has been yet another Crimson Cure production, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.